Good morning. Hey, this is Jim Whining, an ordinary man, and we're going to talk about grocery store chaos. Those normal things that happen to us and demonstrate actually our character. The book of James, of course, in the Bible talks about how do we know you by your works. Well, this little sidetrack, I guess you would call it, involves how would we know you by your actions? Are you demonstrating your good character or are you not? And I think I have found quite realistically, we get challenged the most in situations we can't predict. But even when we can predict them, we don't necessarily react correct. Remember those times when you're raising children and that one bad word that pops out of your mouth and you have no idea how it did, but my gosh, your son or daughter can remember that for eternity. So today we're going to talk about grocery store chaos. The first situation I'm going to deal with in the grocery store is patience. There's one thing you learn in a grocery store, you learn patience. You have to have patience to go and find your golf, find not golf, find your shopping cart. You have to have patience looking for your items. You have to have patience standing in line, waiting on people. And then you have to have patience on not only that, but the checking out process, which invariably will involve a computer which may or may not respond correctly. Patience really hits you hard in a grocery store because it's all about our reliance on other people in a circumstance that is, it's chaotic. Standing in line, can you imagine those? Don't you imagine those lines on what do they call it? Black Friday shopping? Oh, and that grocery store shopping, all the items that you're trying to find, the infamous fruitcake. Anyway, first issue of chaos, patience. So what's the second issue? And you know, this is maybe more mine than it is maybe the general public's, but I have real frustration finding an item I always buy every week that I can't find. I like capers, and I put it on my salmon, and I use a fair amount of it. It's not an item that's bought every day like a milk or eggs or that type of thing. No, it's a specialty item for fish, and it seems like it doesn't matter whether it's a Hy-Vee, a Walmart, a whatever grocery store. They can put it in a new place almost every week, and you have to hunt and hunt and hunt for that item. And there's of course people in front of you, and there's carts in the aisle, and you just cannot get to it. And then when you get to where you think it is, it's not there. They've moved it to another area, another aisle. Finally, you give up and you ask somebody, and they don't know, and they're checking on their phone, and the phone takes you to another location. Anyway, it takes forever to find the same item that you buy every week. And if that isn't frustrating, I don't know what is. And I think it's a great test for how long can you put up with it before you give up. And fortunately, I'm not one of these people that gives up. You know, the older you get, I think, the less patience you have for something that seems to be mundane or should be just easy. You just slide through it and hardly notice it. When you go to the grocery store, there's that parking lot and that parking lot decision. Where am I going to park? My gosh, you know, and you say to yourself, I'm going to park in the same spot because that way I'll know where it is. I won't have to be concerned about it when I leave the grocery store. And you, of course, try to hunt that spot down. And maybe half the time you get pretty close to where you normally park. But sometimes you don't. And even sometimes you're not even close. But it doesn't seem to matter for me. Maybe it matters for you. Think about it. Think about it. When you come out of that grocery store, unless you've left your husband or wife in that car to be able to stand up and wave their arm at you, or as my case, I have even tried because I have a little antenna on the top of my car and I have a huge red ball attached to it. And you would think that would work. And for a guy 6'3", it's fine. Doesn't work very well for a wife 5'3". This doesn't. But it doesn't really matter when you come out. For some reason, the car is always hidden. And then you begin saying, "Oh, this is where I usually park. I usually park on aisle 11. And that's the number I'm looking for." And you're looking for the sign up atop that you saw. And lo and behold, you see a sign, but there's no number on it. And then all of a sudden you realize everybody in the parking lot has an Acadia. Everybody has a black car. Every everybody is parked up against each other, and you can't see over the cars, big trucks. And so finally, after going up and down a few aisles and pretty much losing your cool, you find the car. That is the real. You go from the patience of a line to the frustration of the finding your car in the parking. Now, those are the two ends of the grocery store chaos. But it's not the rest, it's not the whole story. There's a rest of the story. And that includes three other considerations that always happen to you. I bet you, if you think about it, when you go to the grocery store the next time, are you experiencing these five items? Here's the third one: confusion. Confusion. No, we did that. Hold on. We've done patience, we've done frustration, we've done confusion. I got those right. Okay, those are the. But the fourth one, now we're beginning to heat up. The fourth one is anger. Wow. Um, um, you've just come in the grocery store. You've just found your shopping cart. You pull it out. Seems okay. Then you pull it through the checkpoint at the grocery store. That checkpoint before you go in. And all of a sudden, as you're beginning to turn to a department, say like the fresh vegetables, the wheels begin to jiggle. And it's hard to pull. It's pulling all the way to the right or pulling all the way to the left. And then you've just put something in your cart and you're saying to yourself, do I go back and get a new cart, or do I struggle through with this cart the whole way? Most of us do that great stoic thing. We persevere. We can handle the bad shopping cart because we know how to deal with things that are adverse to our character. We can handle it. And guess what? You stay with that cart that vibrates your hands on the little handle. It's almost impossible to steer it straight. And you go up and down with that, and you do it one row, one row, one row at a time. And then you have just about totally lost it by the time you get to the line, the checkout line, that that literally patience zone, yes, the patience zone, and you're stuffed your cart. Boom, 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 cart stuff. Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready. And it takes your patience away. That cart does. If everything else that I've mentioned doesn't bother you, That probably tips it the most. But then there's a little icing on the cake. And that's when there's a challenge in your character that, regardless of the situation, can you respect another person? Can you respect that person checking in, who takes forever to uh, put all your items together? She literally, or he, is the only person checking you out. There's no person bagging your groceries. You can't get around to get to the groceries because you want to make certain that what's being put up on the pay board is correct. And guess what? There's something wrong with the receipt. There's something wrong with an item. You said that the value was on sale for $3, and she says no, the regular price is $5.99, and it doesn't show up. And so there's the battle over the receipt. What is the right amount of money? And you go back and forth, and finally they send you over to customer service, where hopefully the answers can be resolved with your vibrating cart and all the other experiences that you've gone through. You have that last step of respect. How do you not lose your cool, deal with a person who could very simply believe the picture that you took of that on sale item, that you did because you knew, I know they're not going to remember that sale and that item. It just, so you took a picture of it, and they don't even believe that. It's like you brought in a picture specifically for that $3 item, that $5.99 item for $3, and that was your big plan. But you show respect to the people in the service department and the checkout lady because you want people to remember you as a person who was respectful, who was not angry, not confused, not frustrated, and very patient. You demonstrated all of those fine characteristics all through shopping cart chaos. You know, there's an old phrase that used to go around is, what would Jesus do? And when we run into these situations and you think of the two commandments of Jesus, and of course, love him first, love God first. And the second one is almost as simple as to love yourself. Love the other person as you love yourself, as you love yourself. In other words, put yourself in the position of all these other people that you interact with and say, how would I like them to respect, to be patient, understanding, loving, and caring to me? And that might help you through, that might, I'm saying it will, help you through the chaos of grocery store events. Now, next time you go to the grocery store, remember you're going to have a challenge with patience, with frustration, with confusion, with anger, and with respect. But you know that you're empowered with the power of the Holy Spirit to do the right thing. This has been Jim Whining. Just a short moment to reflect on the importance of our character as a Christian. Have a great day. God bless you. And remember, love your neighbor as yourself.